Guys, it's Jerry Miller at the I Love Seaville Welcome Center, and we're talking Alden Bigelow and his new book. This man, a tremendous benefactor of caring for creatures. I can't wait to put Alden Bigelow in the spotlight. Guys, it's great to be with you. Absolutely fantastic story here. Alden Bigelow is kind enough to join us in studio along with Mary Birkholz. She's the president of Caring for Creatures. They have a fantastic relationship going where Alden is donating some books to Caring for Creatures to help raise some funds. I think before we get there, we'll talk about this book right here. Alden Bigelow, the man, the myth, the legend behind this book. You're making some waves in this community, Alden.
I can't wait.
We'll start open-ended. Put the book in perspective for us.
Basically, it is I started off as a short story. I just wanted to write a little bit about animal rights. And I created these animals because I wanted the animals to speak from their point of view as I saw it. And when it evolved from a short story, the animals took over. I'd sit down, and Alden the elephant would start talking, and Wallace Wolf would come in, and then we'd sort of further the plot by wherever they took me. And so out of that came the full novel. It's about animal rights, but it's very entertaining, I think, and I'm not prejudiced, but how the animals come together and figure out a way to improve man's stewardship of the animals and the world, in fact, and how they learn teamship and working with each other, and they learn a little bit about benevolent sabotage, so that when they go back to the main world, they're together at a place called Jamboree Sanctuary, and they have lots of great games in terms of team. Then they're coming back and they're going to help good people everywhere do a better job of working with the animals.
It's called the Great American Mammal Jamboree. I absolutely love the title. Mary has really dug deep into this book here. You love the book, Mary.
Oh, it's wonderful. In fact, when Alden first told me about his idea, I went, oh my God, Alden, that's why I started Caring for Creatures. My whole reason for being in this lifetime, I guess.
You were my inspiration.
Whoa, there you go.
You know, the first no-kill sanctuary where you go there if you want to hang out with the animals at Mary's place. It's very relevant.
She truly is amazing. Caring for Creatures is the first no-kill animal sanctuary in Central Virginia. 30 years.
30 years this year.
Of doing this,
yeah.
Which is absolutely amazing. And Alden, you have a tremendous background, first starting in advertising and now going to an author. I mean, talk about that evolution for us.
Well, I wish I'd made it sooner. I had 30 years in advertising, worked in New York. We talked about Ogilvy and Mather, worked in Washington, started an agency here. And every time I really get the accounts going, and you should listen to this, Jerry, I'd have 4 or 5 employees, and things would be going great. And then once a month, I'd look at the accounting, and I realized the secretary's making more than I was. But anyway, loved advertising, when I retired, I wanted to keep writing. I started writing even before I stopped. I always wrote. And it just sort of evolved into writing full time, and then I had the good fortune of making Mary's acquaintanceship and then friendship maybe 15 years ago, and out of that came the radio show on behalf of Caring for Creatures. I've always loved radio. I have a face for radio. And so that, did I answer your question?
You did. But I'll tell you what, you very much represent Caring for Creatures extremely well on Joe Thomas's show. And Mary, if you could put that in perspective for us, that's some responsibility. Not only is he on air, but it's a weekly spot.
Absolutely. And we are grateful to have both Joe and Alden doing that for us, and it makes a huge difference. I can't tell you how many people come up to me and say, oh, I heard Alden on the radio this morning, or talk about something he's brought up for us.
And Joe will say, Alden, when is Mary coming back? She always brings a dog, and she's very interested. You know. But everyone loves it. Joe loves it. We love it. I mean, how can you go wrong talking about the animals? Helping the animals who, in one way or another, helped me all my life. I couldn't talk to people. I talked to my Cocker Spaniel.
That's right.
It's serious. And agape love, I call it. They give for you, and the forgiveness they give for you. It's such a great example that we at least owe it to them to respect them, to protect them as they should be, and to understand them as thinking cousins of ours. We're all mammals together.
I totally agree with that, and I think there's nothing better than, you know, having a 12-hour day here. And I have 12-hour days, 7 days a week here. And then I walk home into my house, and I have 3 German Shepherds. And my 3 German Shepherds are there greeting me at the door, tails going crazy, like a metronome going crazy. I mean, that's the best feeling in the world.
It is. It is, and you know, when I started CFC, it was my objective to help the animals. But I can tell you, without question, in over 30 years, it's equal. They have helped me as much as I have helped them. And
Same here.
they deserve the right to good food, to a clean environment.
Being treated like humans, like us.
Treated like
In some ways, they're better humans.
They're better humans.
I always say that to people. I like my dogs better than people. At least I know what I can get from my dogs and what to
That's right.
expect.
That's
When
right.
I always said, I've got to go now, I've got to go talk to my dog.
Well, let's dig a little deeper into the Great American Mammal Jamboree, Alden. What was maybe the impetus and the inspiration behind a fantastic book?
The inspiration was my love for animals and my association with Mary Birkholz, who's been my hero ever since I found out that she was the one that said, any animal that comes to our place, we hope he'll get adopted, but if he's here for the rest of his life, and we'll keep him happy. And I thought, you know, that's what I want to be a part of. And so probably about, as I say, 15 years ago, so a lot of things have sprung out of that. I've learned a lot more about animals through Mary and getting to know the animals out there. And it's helped me in my life so much. I mean, I have a dog for every decade in my life. I forget some of the people in those decades, but I never forget the dog. Seriously, never forget the dog.
I love that comment right there. And Mary, the partnership is very much reciprocal here.
Oh, absolutely. And Alden has, you know, and he hasn't mentioned this yet, I don't think, but he donates proceeds, part of the proceeds of the sale of this book. He's donated books to Caring for Creatures. We sell them and keep those proceeds. And
What?
did we forget to mention that, didn't we? But anyway, total support of Caring for Creatures.
So when you see Mary Birkholz and her Caring for Creatures pop-up store on Market Street, you can purchase the Great American Mammal Jamboree.
Absolutely.
And talk about the book signings and the book readings you have in town. I mean, you're gaining some traction here. I love it.
Lots of readings in Fluvanna, the library out there, and in town. We're doing one coming up in the near future to the New Dominion Bookstore. A place that is so historically connected in Charlottesville. It's where I went when it was C.C. Wells, umpty years ago, where my son worked when he was in high school, and where Carol Troxell, who recently died, was such a great person, would bring everybody along. The local, I mean, sure, she had Grisham come in. And then I'd come in with the book that had a similar plot, and I said, don't let Grisham get near, because he'll steal my plot. But, so that's another place, you know, and it's just great, because you sort of got me a platform to talk about your platform, so we're on like twin diving boards.
Well, you know what? You can't talk enough about what is needed for the animals. You really can't.
Right.
And then, and I don't mean to interject a somewhat sad statement here, but, you know, in our recent cold spell, dogs died from exposure.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know that people may find that hard to believe in this day and age, but we still need to help them. We still need to speak up for them. And this is what your book offers.
Caring for Creatures, Mary Birkholz is the president. Alden Bigelow is in the hot seat right now, the author of the Great American Mammal Jamboree. And, you know, you obviously have a great way with words. I mean, I'm sure you've had it all your life. You have great energy. You probably help refine some of your skill set as an advertising executive, copywriter, you know, in your day. What's the difference between being an author and being a copywriter? I've always wanted to know that.
Well, a copywriter is an author. Mm-hmm. You know, you have copywriters who are crafting language so that, as you know, 30 seconds or 60 seconds, sometimes 90 seconds, every single word has to count, because you only have so much time to tell the story and to make your mark at the end, to make that person want to respond to the ad in a favorable way. So it really helps. you learn how to make words count. Today, a lot of people, they just keep throwing those words out, and pretty soon something will, So that got me involved with that, and I am a grammar guy. I'm constantly correcting them on television and radio, sometimes to myself, mostly to my wife, who says, okay, I already got it.
That's like me and my wife.
But I do love words, because words correctly used can really give clarity and people who use these generalized things, it's just kind of murky often. But if you find the right word to fit that situation, if you know how to put a sentence together properly, you can make a real impact. And so I've always liked that, and not like math or engineering too much, but I like that. I like recess. That got me into, I guess, advertising, and that got me into writing. As I say, I've written most of my life. But I started writing novels about 10 years ago. Well, some people retired, but I just went private. And the great thing about writing, too, is that someone says, oh, you can do this, you listen. No, I have to go home and write. I go home, maybe I'll write, maybe I'll talk to my dog. But when you tell someone you have to go home to write, there's nothing they can say. Oh, he's going home to write.
Right. I'm so steamed and astute, incredible. I love it. So it must drive you crazy, almost the cannibalization of the English language, thanks to the ubiquitous nature of these in text messaging. Does that drive you crazy?
There's nothing worse to me than you look across, it's a beautiful day, the water's right below you,
and people are taking pics instead of enjoying it.
No, the breeze is blowing, and they're all walking, look with their head down like this the entire way. You can stay in the subway station and do that. But I'm, the old man screaming out in the dark, hey, put that thing down and look around.
Alden Bigelow, the author of The Great American Mammal Jamboree, Mary Birkholz, the president of Caring for Creatures. Why do you think, Mary, the reading public would love this book? Why is this something that's a page turner in your eyes that people should scoop up and really pour their soul into?
Oh gosh, it's a book for all ages, first of all, for your children as well as adults. And the characters are lovable. You're going to relate to them. You understand what they're saying and where they're coming from, because there's wild creatures as well as domestic creatures. So everyone can relate to where they're coming from. And there's the one part in the very beginning where we talk about the wild animals they can't eat meat, at the jamboree.
But they speak to each other.
And they speak to each other, and they agree. Okay,
kind of like Congress.
For this purpose, the purpose.
But better.
Yeah.
Much better.
But anyway, the story is light as well as powerful message behind the words. So I don't see why anyone wouldn't want to delve into it and share it with their kids.
Fantastic review right here.
The schools ought to be having that.
Fantastic review from Mary Birkholz.
I speak the truth.
You did earn that lunch. You don't have to try so hard. You've already earned the lunch.
Where can we find the Great American Mammal Jamboree, Alden?
First of all, you can always go to Amazon and you can order it there, or like in the New Dominion bookshop. It's in the libraries. You'll want to buy one, and so then you can read it at the library and preserve the other one. No, but
buy it, guys, buy it.
It goes
CFC. What do you say to the folks out there? I'm so passionate about writing. My first job out of UVA was as a staff writer at the Daily Progress. And there's nothing better still for me than having a morning cup of coffee and having the newspaper in my hand where I would get the print residue on my fingers.
Hard
copy, okay? Not this, the hard copy. I'm old school when it comes like that. What do you say to the folks that are like the millennials, the 20-somethings, they're maybe fresh out of college, that want to become an author? Because I'll tell you what, the slang is tough in 2018 for authors out there.
First of all, I'd say, you're a millennial, huh? What is that? But assuming I understand that, is if you really want to write, then sit down and write. I don't care what anybody says to you. You can learn every single day. But have a discipline where you sit down every day, maybe at the same time, shut the door. Maybe some days nothing comes to you. Maybe the other days it's all dribble. something will come to life and you'll develop the discipline and you'll hook on something, and just through that, what do you call that, unconscious writing, it'll come to you, and then you have your kernel. You can go from there, write every day, read a lot, and be willing to just, everybody wants to have what they wrote read by other people. But at the beginning, read it for yourself, what you've written, how you can make it better. And the key is, maybe, you know, one day you'll write a book like me and owe more money than you make because, you know, you only sold 12 books. But that's okay, because you've written something, you've gotten it out there, there's something that means something to you. But write for yourself first, and do it as a discipline, and it'll come to you.
Alden Bigelow in studio, the author of the Great American Mammal Jamboree. Mary Birkholz is the president of Caring for Creatures. Just celebrated 30-year anniversary with Charlottesville and Central Virginia's first no-kill animal sanctuary. As we wind down, I'm loving this interview, especially the writing piece here. I mean, the writer block, you know, it's, everyone knows about it. Until you sit in front of a keyboard and you see that cursor blinking, and there's not a single word on the page, people can't really appreciate what the writer's block truly is. Any advice to the folks out there about overcoming the writer's block?
Try a pencil. You can always erase.
Is that what you do?
I actually write longhand.
Wow. And
then I type my inevitable typing, and then my wonderful wife comes in, and she sits at the computer, and she looks at what I've done, and as I read it back to her, I'll be changing it as I go along, because you'll find writers out there that you know so well, there are drafts and drafts and drafts. It's never perfect, but you can get pretty close if you work on, and that's the process that I take.
That's awesome. Do you leverage the journal aspect of writing? You know, I've heard from a lot of authors that they'll often carry a notepad or a marble book with them.
Yeah.
So you have it. And how often do you get hit with inspiration?
I'll write it down on here. Here, like in this, I always carry this briefcase with me. I mean, for example, in here, I have notes, I have telephone directory, I have my day timer, and I have my little notes that I make down as I go along. And a lot of times I get home and say, man, I can't even read this. But sometimes a really good idea will come to you and it'll kick it off, because a lot of times ideas come to you when you're thinking about something else, because you're kind of relaxed from the writing thing, and then something is germinated up here. And I like to call it, it's not new with me, but a lettingness. Let it come. Don't force it. Just let it come. And
fantastic. Before I ask you one more time where we can find the book, where we can get the book, where we can buy the book, I want to throw one last question to Mary Birkholz. She's the founder of Caring for Creatures. What does Alden Bigelow mean to your organization, to Caring for Creatures, and the support and contributions he's given?
It's priceless. You can't even put a number on it. It's a voice that reflects exactly what we do, and I trust that every inch of the way that he does it. But he speaks from his heart, and when it comes to the animals, you need to come from your heart. They help us come from our heart.
They know.
And that's what Alden does. And the people who hear him, I mean, you saw your other visitor that was here and just heard him talking, and so, I know that voice. Well, yeah, they know that voice, and they know the heart that speaks behind it. And that's priceless to Caring for Creatures, and people are drawn to that.
Very well said. Caringforcreatures.org, Charlottesville and Central Virginia's first no-kill animal sanctuary. Alden Bigelow is online. His website here on screen, aldenbigelow.com. Last one as we wrap up, the Great American Mammal Jamboree. Let the viewing public know one more time how we can purchase this beautiful book.
It's at a lot of bookstores. New Dominion Bookshop. It's in a lot of libraries in Albemarle County and Fluvanna, just about all of them, I think. If you want to order directly, you just go to Amazon.com. You can look up Alden E. Bigelow or Bigelow. It'll just flash and it'll tell you, give you a better synopsis of what it's about, how to order it, and you should do it if you love animals, and if you love Mary, and if you love Caring for Creatures.
Not only do you get a story that is precious and can work for any generation in your family, but you're going to be supporting as far as I'm concerned, one of the best organizations in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, and Mary Birkholz and Caring for Creatures. He's Alden Bigelow, she's Mary Birkholz, I'm Jerry Miller. Get this book, guys. Truly, truly think you're gonna love it.